Welcome to Wife's a Bitch podcast. I'm
I can't
Victoria.
believe I made the cut. This is so exciting.
Are you kidding? You're my biggest celebrity here that I've
Yeah,
ever
in
had.
the room right now. Yes, I am.
Yeah. I'm
Besides
Victoria.
you.
I'm Victoria Arnstein, your host, and co-hosting with me today, and my guest, because I'd like to have you as my co-pilot today.
Really?
Because
Well,
sometimes I do solos, but I am so jazzed and I'm so excited that you're here. You could throw this
listen, I
whistle.
anytime that I can be here with you and I can be I mean, I am overwhelmed by pillows and merchandising, and you can't see it, but there's so much fucking candy and dishes of like
I love
pretzels
candy.
and gummy bears
Yeah.
and
You'd be so
jawbreakers, cashews,
jailbreak.
the chocolate mints you find at the Fairfield Inn on the pillows. It's
The Ritz Carlton Barry.
how would I know about the Fairfield?
Uh,
That's that.
So this is my merch. I have merch that this one's a t-shirt that says "Rent a Karen" from one of my jokes, and this is "Housewives Matter." It's a joke that I make on stage. But anyway, I don't know if you guys know if you're just tuning in for the first
Of
time.
course, there's the book that
My
you're
book,
hawking as well, Impress
Impress
Yourself,
Yourself.
where
Yes,
she tells you before you buy it that there's a typo somewhere. You just have to find it.
right. And
So
I gave Barry one once as signed copy, and then he forgot it somewhere. He forgot it in the green room of Brad Williams.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, I need to introduce this man because I'm probably going to get nervous and sweaty just saying the names of who he managed. First of all,
I
I
think
didn't,
I'm nervous and
I only
sweaty
know you a
talking.
year and a half, and I
Mhm.
honestly, I took his blueprint course, which is like a master class in comedy and everything else. Oh my God. He's managed the best names that you could think of from Dave Chappelle, Dane Cook, Louis C.K., Bill Burr, now Brad Williams. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's just insane. It's insane. It reads like a roster of like the most star-studded uh, shows that you have. And I only know you for about a year and a half, and I feel like I know you for a really, really long time. Like it's just so comfortable with you. I'm just so
I
I know.
love
I
how
feel like your
I
family.
want to tell you something. My son was in New York and I got a hotel room for him. He's 19. I think he was 18 at the time. And he gets to the desk and they wouldn't let him sign in. And the first person I called was Victoria. I said, "Are you in the city? My son's at this hotel and they won't let him in. Could you just put your credit card down because they won't let him put his credit card down because he's too young."
I was
A-
driving home from my show actually.
And she went right over there, took care of it, and I Venmoed her the money, and it was so seamless and wonderful, and I was so grateful. So
Venmo's the best invention ever.
you are Mishbuka, as they
Yeah,
say in
yeah,
Jersey.
I'm with family. So I was very happy to do it, and you would have done it for me, and it was like not even a question. Um, so what those this blueprint that you have, you want to explain to people what it is and how I mean, it's usually a plug at the end, but it's just really how I met you. I want to say how I the backstory of how I got into the blueprint. I um I got into stand-up comedy and I was living in Hawaii at the time and I saw that you had a blueprint which was basically all these videos that he made of all these stories that he's had. Like the man is filled with stories. You're filled with stories, like so many stories, and he's really kind of a savant in a lot of ways, where he knows how to pick out a star. Like the Star is Born. Like that's what you have that talent where you really see a star and he's been through it all. He had the Boston Comedy Club, which I saw featured in the show Crashing, which I used to watch in Hawaii, missing New York, and I was doing stand up out there, and I was like, oh, I should go to the cellar. I should go hang out there, thinking that everybody hangs out there. So I saw this thing online, and I couldn't afford it at the time. Believe it or not, I could not afford the blueprint at the time. At the
Everybody, I
time,
just want you to know
no,
if you saw this place where
no,
she's
it's
living
not.
in this like
I.
penthouse
It took
place,
us years to get to this point.
it's like insane. She's gonna edit this out anyway, but
No,
like
I'm not. I'm not. I'm
it's
not.
like I mean literally it's like a palatial mansion, this place, and
Anyway,
literally I'm living in a box behind Ashmont Station.
okay, so it's not true. But anyway, thank you. But I couldn't afford it at the time, and I was like, oh, maybe next year, maybe next year. And I was going through a breakup with my husband at the time, and I was like, I didn't
I
know.
was going through a breakup with my husband too at the time. So
And no, he was married, but to a woman. But I ended up having this I had the time to actually look into it and everything, and then I ended up getting like the diamond, the one-on-one, which
Yeah.
I think I'm telling you, if you could do it, if you have the means, just do the one-on-one with him because you really do get to know each other, and I feel like that's the best way to get your
And
first of all your money's worth,
and we've done so many things since, and we've spent a lot of, we've spent actually more a lot of time when I come into New York, more so than I see you more than I see anybody else
um,
probably.
I'm flattered,
And
but
so the thing about the blueprint is during the pandemic, I just wanted to do something. I was getting antsy and I wanted to do something, so I rented like an idiot. I rented a studio in Malibu, renovated the whole thing,
amazing.
and I made like all this content, this master course stuff, and then I thought I could put a program together where I could help people online to get ready when the pandemic ended, and
And you do. You have so much knowledge. I mean, it's a shame to have that go to waste because so many people have. It really is a blueprint. You named it perfectly because you really have to understand the ins and outs of comedy if you're a comic. I mean, if you're a sketch writer, if you're, a screenwriter, a writer, if you're just doing acting, you just have. It's like picking his brain, and even once a week, if you could do the Zoom call and just learn from all the other people that are on there, it's a camaraderie, and I've met really great people because of you,
yeah,
like Eugenia, and
yeah, and they all
yeah,
hang out together. It's
yeah.
so there's like 900 to 1,000 people in
It's
this
so worth it.
community.
It's so worth it.
What's odd is, I just a very select group get to do these calls, and once every 3 months I do one for everybody in the community. But I just generally just wanted to do something to be of assistance, but I didn't want to. I want to do where I could give something back, but also, at least for my time, I was getting some kind of compensation for my time. But
Yeah.
as you know, I never stick to the time. I
No, he
always,
goes, oh, I don't tell everybody that, but you do go over. He goes over, he's very generous with his time. And I think because he's so truly authentic, and I crave authenticity. I absolutely love authenticity. And I know an authentic person when I see one and when I meet one, and I've known right away, this is the guy that's going to be in my life forever. It's till from when I know him till the end. Because
yeah, and I do it in my spare time. I do all the meetings like at night or the calls, and because I obviously am a manager during the day, I do produce TV and film, and I have my own podcast,
yeah,
Industry Standard, which I interviewed
amazing.
Ronnie Chang today and Louis Ferranda, who's been an amazing force in comedy.
He did that all today, and then he went to the Tonight Show, and then
Yeah, my
he
client
went to dinner, and then he came here
Dean Edwards was doing the Tonight Show
after
tonight,
the blueprint.
and then I did the blueprint thing, and then I did this.
Unbelievable.
So it's I want to I want to be a good man, and I want to
You are
do
a good man, and you're
and
really imparting a lot of good stuff.
and you're this is interesting. I'm talking to somebody here, just so you know. I'm shocked that you're talking so wonderfully about it because I've made her cry on so many occasions.
Occasion.
Only one
Yeah,
occasion?
yeah.
Okay.
One occasion. I'm sorry, that's bothering.
Our merch is falling.
You actually
You
made me
can put it in
cry.
the middle
Yeah,
if you want,
yeah.
because now it'll be different continuity.
You made me cry because I said a joke, and he's like, "Did you really just say that?" Because it was so hacky. And I remember. I remember
What was
too.
the joke?
Oh my God. It wasn't really a joke. It was just something that was like, I have three kids that I know of. And he's like, did you just say that out loud? Like, did you just say that joke? Did you just say, were you serious about that? And I was like, I know it's bad. I started crying because he's right. And I love a good constructive criticism, and I love almost an insult. I love it because I learned so much from it, and I love the honesty. Like I said, he's so authentic, and I knew that it was real because he would tell me, and I loved it. I loved that you told me. It was
I
great
mean,
that I broke the
from
ice with
I
that.
mean, what you're doing now versus what you were doing then is just like, I mean, it's like night and day, don't you feel?
Yeah, and I think that my friend, you know him, Sherrod Small. He
I
saw
love
a
Sherrod Small.
Yeah. He gave me a note when I sent him a video once. He's like, just one thing. Just talk to the audience more. Like just talk to them. And as in live comedy, because it wasn't the Tonight Show, so what I'm doing in a club is very different and it's more me. Like I want to be able to talk. I was a theater background, so I didn't want to do the fourth wall, and sometimes I would talk to the audience, be like, "Oh my god, is that bad?" But now, and let me tell you, I just had a breakthrough on Saturday night. I went to Staten Island
I
with
thought you were gonna say you just had a breakdown. I didn't know
no,
it
a
was
breakthrough. Saturday night, because Sherrod told me this like a year ago, and I kind of implement things late.
normally breakdowns come in
Yeah,
Staten Island.
yeah, yeah. No, but I had a breakthrough in Staten Island where it was a small crowd, but it was mighty. It was my speed, and I went up there and I was just like, you know what? Go off the rails. Just talk to the audience, see where it takes you, and then say your jokes in between. Like, incorporate your jokes, and that's what he's been telling me to do. And my implementation skills take time because I don't want to jump off a cliff too quickly, and then you even say, why aren't you doing this conversation on stage? So it was very conversational and I had so much fun. They had a blast. They want me back. The guy that I featured for, ended up giving me a beautiful note saying they loved you. And they all had to fill out these correspondence cards, whatever. And I was a hit. I just loved because I was the most authentic I've ever been on stage. And it felt great. I went on with the whole not nervous. I didn't want to have fear at all. I was just like, you know what? Just have a conversation. And there was a chatty woman in the front. And I was just like, yeah, let's just go with this. And it was fun and it was funny and it was great. And yeah, my jokes came in and out, and it was witty. It was just everybody loved it, and I loved it, and that's what I want to do. That's when I came through the breakthrough was that this is what I want to do. Whether I'm telling jokes on the checkout line at CVS, to a stage, to a stadium, I want to do the exact same thing. And if I just stay here doing it, I'm very happy. I really am very happy doing it. And I think I just want to get to that point where, if I am well known, it's just two reasons that I would want to be well known is to, get more people to see me because I feel badly for the people that can't see me. Then, I only have a privileged few that see me now, and I feel badly for the rest. And also, if I want to get a message out of something that I really believe in, that I'm passionate about, if I have that platform and that fame, and then I have the opportunities, then that's why I would want to be famous. But other than that, I really don't want that kind of crazy life. I never wanted that really, unless I was a little kid when I didn't know any better. And I was always afraid of success because I was afraid, oh my God, if I succeed, what happens next? Like, what if I don't know a vocabulary word on the Tonight Show and someone's interviewing me? That's the fear. I genuinely had that fear. And now your success, now you have to do things. You have to go places. You have no choice.
If you don't succeed, what happens
That's
next?
that's more painful.
What happens
Now
next?
I know.
What happens next if you don't succeed?
You just live your mundane life and you wonder about what could have been. That's what you say. That's what happens when you don't succeed. But you
Okay.
know what? I don't have that mindset because I won races, running races, and I don't have that mindset of not succeeding anymore. I have the success mindset now.
Okay, so what is it that you're doing to, what are the steps you're taking for that mindset? What's different? I just want to know, tell me three things that are different between Victoria today and Victoria a year ago today.
I'm eliminating fear and doubt.
How did you do that?
Um, just just getting out of my own way.
How?
Um,
Like, how did you do it?
well, it's a lot of meditation, a lot of active meditation. I run a lot, and I really start to. You know what I realized? I was talking to myself anyway during the day. I'm a lot. I'm on by myself a lot, and uh, and I talk to myself anyway. So I'm like, if I'm talking to myself, why not say good things? And I thought it was delusional to tell yourself good things, like, okay, yeah, I'm great. But I really mean it. It really works. I changed the way I talk to
What do
myself.
you say to yourself?
I say I'm great.
What'd you say before?
Um, you're not great. You're not great.
That's what you said to yourself.
Yes.
All right. Take me 24 hours before I'm not great to I'm great. Like, what happened?
Well, my husband and I have this kind of like relationship where we kind of put each other down. It's really bizarre.
How do you
But
how do you
one,
how do you put him down?
well, I'll just make him tougher. That's his love language. He likes that. He likes when I put him like my husband's a champion kind of guy. So when I just say things like you're not doing it right or something, then he rises to the occasion. Whereas I don't. I'm like, you know what? You're right. You're right. You're right. I suck. You're right. And he would put that in my head a lot because he didn't want me to be successful either. I'm sweating. He didn't want me to be successful. He just didn't.
I
I
know.
don't know. He just well, he's like, he finds the worst part about things and he's like, well, it's not good. It's not a good business plan. He's a businessman. So he breaks down things in a business way and he doesn't get the whole art form and he doesn't get it. He just doesn't get comedy at all. He's not a comedy club goer. He just doesn't like it. It's not his thing. I'm getting a hot flash right now. Anyway, I really am. I'm an inferno right now. I'm burning.
You want my water?
I'm
You want to
actually
press
going.
pause? You want to press pause? And
Oh no, no, leave it in. Anyway, so that's our thing. But then one day I said, you know what? When I started changing a couple of months ago, I started changing the way I think and the way I talk to myself. And I said, you can't do that anymore. He goes, oh, cut it out. I go, no, no, I really mean it. Your voice is in my head, and I'm getting messed up. It's not fair. I want to completely change the way I talk to myself. He's like, okay. And now, little by little, because of behavior modification, he doesn't put me down as much as he used to. Because when he does, I walk away. What I was saying was my husband and I tell each other things that are just like, the way we talk to each other is just, kind of our way of talking to each other, which is not always the greatest way, but we got used to it.
but then you change that. You change that with him.
Yeah, I changed that. It's going to take time. Just yesterday, it was just yesterday when we could throw it.
No, it's perfect.
Just yesterday we were like having an argument about something, and I was just like, you can't say that
Do
to
you guys
me.
argue a lot?
We argue a lot less, and then when we do, we make up much faster now. So it's been a joy to be married. Where I mean, it's like the last 5 years have been the best 5 years out of all of the times that I was married, out of all the years that I was married, because we finally we dialed in, and we both want to make it work. So
God, I hope I can do that in the future.
it's just we're also more mature, and we're exhausted. We're just exhausted from not having each other and just look, there's a lot of things that I can't get from him, but I have to get it in other ways, and that's why I have comedy friends because he's not that guy. And I have to accept that what he is good for, that's what I'm going to have him for. Just like any other friend that is not going to have every single quality that I want. So you have a friend that's funny, a friend that's
That's
serious.
that's one of the things that's so important to understand in your personal life and in business is that, it's kind of like a decathlon. Let's say you meet a man. Let's just talk about the personal life. You meet a man
Hmm.
or a woman or whatever your preference is, and the decathlon is 10 events. Well, you can win the decathlon without winning every event.
Right,
So they might be number one in sense of humor, number one in the height that you like a person,
right.
number three in conversation, number two in intimacy,
Yeah,
number seven in they leave the cap off the toothpaste.
right.
And then same with comedy, you don't have
Well,
to,
what could you tolerate? You know what I mean?
but that's true. But when you look at comedy too, even if you look at the greatest comedians that are at the top of the mountain of comedy, just name your Mount Rushmore of comedy real quick. Who are your four
Oh my God, I can't
that
even.
are
I know
alive?
I should do that are alive. I really don't. I don't have it.
Who are your favorites?
I don't have
You
favorites.
don't have one
No, I
favorite
don't. I
comedian.
don't really have. Daniel Tosh is up there.
Okay, so
Okay.
let's take Daniel Tosh.
Yeah.
So Daniel Tosh is really smart comedian. He's really good looking. He's got that, confidence. And, he's got three of the qualities. He's got great material. He's smart. He's good looking. He's got a great confident presence on stage. But is he as huggable and lovable as Bert Kreischer? No. Is he as prolific a you know, a political figure that the like a modern day philosopher is Dave Chappelle? No. Does he have the angst and the and the acting resume that Bill Burr has? No. But he's fucking great. So it's the same all across the board, I think. And I think once you understand that personally and professionally, which is really hard because when you get into a personal relationship, from the beginning of time when you're growing up, it's you hear the song in the background that's gonna get married, going to the chapel,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's all about the marriage and
It's all about
whatever.
the wedding.
Yeah,
It's not even about the
but they
marriage.
don't talk
Right.
about
They don't talk about
but they don't talk about the fact that look, if maybe people will disagree with me, but even when I'm single, and so even when you meet somebody who is so great across the board, because when you start to get a little older or a lot older, you you've known you've met a lot of people.
right.
You've gone out with a lot of people, so you know what you want, you know what you don't want. And even when you find somebody who blows you away, there's always still things that are like, oh God, I can't believe that's that way. Since this is called Wife's Bitch, this
Yeah.
is maybe I'll go too far on this, but I think it's fascinating because you probably talk about everything. But like, think about your life before you got married.
Mm-hmm.
So your single life. So this is what's crazy about relationships. So you might, I'm not saying you did, you might have had a one night stand where it was like, holy shit, this is the fucking greatest night of my fucking life. I don't know the person. I haven't really had a conversation with them. I don't really talk to them, but boy, what happened that night, that was amazing. And then you meet another guy and you're going on like 3, 4, 5 dates. The conversation's amazing. You're closing down every restaurant. It's incredible. Then you finally have your intimate moment and you're like, I mean, that was good, but why wasn't that as good as the person I didn't know? And can I make it as good as the other person over time? How do I figure out how to do that? And why wasn't it? Or vice versa. You might be on this 20 dates with somebody and the conversation isn't really going that great, but then you're intimate and it's amazing. Or whatever part it is. And the thing is, I realize if everything's always perfect as a comedian or in your personal life, I think that there's nothing to work towards. There's nothing to, when it's all perfect, where do you have to go?
Mm.
If Bill Burr thought that his comedy was perfectly fine the way it was, he just stopped doing it. Like, why keep doing it if you don't believe you can get better?
Like Sebastian Maniscalco's tour name was "Stay Hungry," right?
Yeah, like if you don't,
If you're not
if you,
hungry,
if you don't, yeah,
you're not gonna shine.
yeah, you need to believe you're not where you want to be and you want to be better. George Carlin, we talked about it a little bit, uh, and on this blueprint call I had.
Yeah.
Comedians are afraid to evolve, and it's like how many comedians do you know who have made three changes in their persona like George Carlin did?
Right.
Um, it takes guts. Rodney Dangerfield, two
Yeah.
changes,
Yeah.
Jack Roy to Rodney Dangerfield. And so,
I'm starting to change. I'm starting to go back to, why I wanted to do it in the first place, which was, just really connect and get to that point of connection.
yeah,
That's really why I want to do it.
but at the end of the day, you're doing it only you know the reasons you're doing it. And
Um, yeah.
I think you're doing it because I don't know you the way you know,
You could
but I
say it,
think you're
whatever you
doing
think.
it because if there was a truth serum in your veins, you'd say, I have something to prove to myself, and I have something to prove to the people who haven't necessarily made my road that easy. And and
Yeah,
and
that's accurate.
and in order to do that, um, you have to be, it's interesting. Victoria was just listening to me do one of my calls with the group and the blueprint, but in order to do that, I mean, the only answer is just working harder than everybody else, working smarter than everybody else, and creating premises and punchlines that are better than everybody else. And there's no one, I mean, Victoria, do you know any geniuses in comedy that are working the open mic night on, Monday afternoon at the New York Comedy Club?
No.
No. So it's like, do you know any people who have extraordinary premises, amazing punchlines, deliver it flawlessly, who can't get on stage anywhere?
No.
No. You know what frustrates you and most comics the most is they go to the Comedy Cellar and they see some of the people on the show and they're like, Jesus, I know there's great people here, but why is that person working here? It's because there's a lack of extraordinary people. So then you got to go to the next tier. And then when you're through with that tier, you got to go to the next tier. But if you're extraordinary, you blow everybody away and you get as many spots as you want. Now, there are
That's
weird
the goal.
exceptions to like the rules when you're kind of like a little bit, you don't conform. I'll give you an example of this. God, I hope he's not going to be mad at me. Um, Al Lubell is a fucking genius. I mean, the guy, comedy is brilliant. His
Yes, he is.
mind works differently than other comedians' minds. He knows how to formulate his things. He does premises and jokes that I don't think anybody else could make work.
Hmm.
Um, but he doesn't work a lot. Yeah, he works at the cellar and but he doesn't work a lot on the road and whatever because he doesn't really work hard at the other side of his
The
comedy,
hustle.
the hustle. He doesn't work hard at the social media end of his comedy, although he's starting to do something with somebody. And most importantly, he's awkward. He walks in the room and it's kind of a little awkward, you know, when when you meet that person who's like far more intelligent and brilliant than anybody, but they're like, there's something happening where they're kind of like just slightly a
Hmm.
step behind the
Yeah.
rest of people when it
Yeah.
comes to just hanging out and doing whatever. That's Al. He's coming to the clubs with his fucking sweatpants and his old sneakers and a fucking water bottle the size of Rhode Island. It's like, yeah,
Kind of like that though. I like that he's authentic self.
yeah, he's completely authentic. But what I'm saying is sometimes, yes, things don't go as well if you don't know how to be a chameleon and
Right.
navigate
Right.
whatever.
Right.
But for you, you've always worried too much about what people think, and then you don't concentrate enough on the premises that,
Yeah.
when I think about Ronnie Chang, I think about that routine. I'm just thinking to myself now.
Amazon.
Uh, yeah, the premise
That's
of
my
just,
favorite joke.
yeah, the
That's one of
premise.
my favorite jokes.
Yeah, so what's the story's going? The premise is in the United States, you want things fast. You want things now, whatever. And then he goes through it feels
I
like
want it now in my hand now.
yeah,
The way he says it
it
is
feels
just
like
so
it's
great. The
it
way
feel
he says it.
yeah, it feels like it's a 20-minute bid. And there's things in there when if you were to read it on paper,
Right.
it's not
Right.
it's on the paper, it's not I want it now. I want it now.
Right.
I
Right.
want it now.
Right. Right.
It's not,
The way he delivers it is fantastic.
but he makes it work his style and it's
Hmm.
incredible.
Yeah.
And so he's not working an open mic night in Passaic, New Jersey.
Right.
How are you going to work an open mic night when you have material like that?
Right.
I don't think the crack baby routine of Chappelle's is going to show up,
Yeah.
at the Ha Cafe in
Right. Right.
on Lankershim in California. Um, and when it does show up there, it's not going to be there for long.
Right.
And
Right.
so
Well, you discovered Dave Chappelle and you were like blown away when he was like what, 16,
18,
18, and you know what they have. Eddie Murphy had to shine at the comic strip. You know he shined.
I remember this, and I'll tell your audience. I can never forget this joke. When the first joke he did after he came to New York, 18, he said, I went to Washington Square Park right down the street, and I learned that in the old days, racism, segregation was so bad that they used to hang white people and black people on different trees. I can just imagine the black people picketing through Washington Square Park. We want to be hung on the same trees as y'all. So
Fantastic.
it's like this is an 18-year-old.
Yeah, that's his mind is genius.
So it's like I think about these lines that,
Yeah.
and I'm like a broken record. Just, watch Jim Jeffries' gun control bit.
Yeah. It's
It's
great.
like 12 minutes
Yeah.
long. Watch that and tell me if that guy's not going to get work anywhere if it's a young comic. Watch Sam Morril's Holocaust bit and tell me that guy's not going to work anywhere.
Right.
Um, or the people that have like a voice that's like a different thing happening. Like in the old days of comedy and even the laughter, every comic, it seemed, had like a completely different, you could tell them apart. You could listen to their voice 3 seconds. You'd know whether it be Joan Rivers, Rodney Dangerfield,
Jackie Mason.
Jackie Mason. Then you go a step further, Sandler. You got Jeff Foxworthy.
Yeah.
You could just and keep going. Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, Louis Anderson. Roseanne. I could keep going
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah, you
Like of
just know
all
who they
these
are and their
people,
catchphrases and
you just the voice, the persona, the sound of their voice, how they present it, their style, so different today. It's try to, you know, I was talking today about with Louis Ferranda on my podcast. I did a recorded with him, and I was thinking to myself, who today coming up who's breaking through in the past, like just a year or so, or maybe somebody might say 2 years or whatever. They're really kind of really breaking through. We thought of four people who, when you watch them, they are completely a different animal than the rest of the stand-ups coming up. That's one talked about, Sam Morrill, uh, Mark Normand, uh, Mateo Lane,
yeah, he's fantastic.
Joe List. People who the way they talking and the way it's probably Joe is, and I hope he wouldn't be mad at me, kind of like I think he's getting to that point where it's like you're realizing something is so different that's happening. Um, and and I only mention, even though he's a client of mine, I mean, he's just completely different than everybody else's Brad Williams. Because, he's a little person, his voice is different, everything is the way he presents himself. But what I'm saying is that most of the comics, even though they're trying to be different, they're not separated by kind of how they act and how they talk. It seems to be a more of a common lane. One of the things Ronnie Chang said that was fascinating is that when you look at all the skill sets that there are in the world in comedy, you think so many things are different, but you realize that, in all sports, you know, you still have to run.
Yeah.
There's a common thread to stuff. And so for you, Victoria, it's a question of like, breaking through and being somebody who, it's like, wow, I know that's her. When Brad, when Brad Williams, you're always going to know who he is.
Right.
And that's his disability and hopefully his comedy, he would say, will be the thing that drives people to say
Right.
that's who
Right.
that person is or
Right.
whatever.
Right.
But the whole package in terms of like the difference in how they,
Brand.
the brand and how they talk and just, sometimes I'll see somebody on stage and Lewis and I were talking about it. It's like you say, holy shit, that guy's doing Dave Attell.
Oh,
Or that guy, not the material, but they're
yeah.
just doing, or
Yeah.
that's
You
kind of
got to
like
find
how,
your own voice.
and then when you say to yourself, sometimes you say to yourself, that guy sounds a lot like Mark Norman. Then I'm like, holy shit, what a compliment.
Right.
That guy sounds like Mark Norman, and
It's a compliment to Mark.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that
I think
that's,
a lot of comics have that problem. We get a voice from someone else, and then we find our own voice. It takes years sometimes. Sometimes, if you're lucky, you could find your own voice.
yeah, and
And
I
that's
and
when
I
you
think
start to
and
stand
I
out.
think that's something about you that I love is that you're a complete original about how your voice is and how you present yourself and whatever. It's just a question of the premises and the
Well,
jokes.
nobody really has a story. I've never met a comic that has a husband that climbed Mount Everest, and I,
You have great
yeah,
stories.
and went to jail and all the. I'm not hearing those stories, so it's a matter of how I present it. And till now, I tell the joke. It's not a joke, but the story with jokes in it of the Mount Everest story, and people don't believe me after I get off the stage. And now I literally drill it into their head. I'm like, people don't believe this is true. This happened, like. And then they were like, wait, did it really happen? They don't believe it because they've never heard a comic say their husband went to Mount Everest,
But more importantly,
which I think is kind of a love story because, he was going to leave me with a shit ton of money. But anyway,
but
he
more,
could have,
but
if he did not come back.
but more importantly, you've been married for how many years?
26 almost in
And you
February,
were separated for how many years?
about 9 months.
9 months during the 26 years.
Yeah.
So you're a person who's been married for 26 years. You've been separated. Um, the guy's climbed Mount Everest twice, I
No,
believe.
once.
Once, I'm sorry. He, to keep a relationship going for 26 years,
Where was I going?
it's like I, I'll tell your audience this. I was at the,
It pays the bills, Mary.
yeah, so he pays the bill. So what?
No, I know, I know. I remind him
So,
every single day, though.
so that's the
You have to
role.
you have to say those
It
3 words.
hasn't that been the role of the traditional man for,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. No, I know.
I
No,
mean, what are they
I have to
in
keep reminding
in
him.
caveman times where the women and say, like he goes out there with a spear and kills the
No, feminism is a scam. That's not
well,
lost on me.
I don't know if it's a scam
Well, it started out at the right place and then it
because
turned
there's a
into
no because there's a lot of women who don't, look,
they want their careers.
one of the philosophies that I've heard a lot that mothers teach their daughters is that always have your own money and always make your own money and don't ever rely on a man. Don't be in a
I think it's
situation.
important to know how to do those things, but not do them.
I know you do. I'm talking about
Yeah, yeah,
what
no,
I
I know. I'm just saying that my take on it, and I've had a lot of time to think about it, is I would rather live with less than go to work and have to work than not work.
what Victoria's saying is she would rather cry in a Bentley than a Volkswagen Beetle.
That's
That's what
right,
she's
of
saying.
course.
But the thing I talk to Victoria about a
I
lot,
played the long game, Barry.
yeah, is that I don't I'm going to share a few things that she probably already knows. My mother told my sister when I was younger, I'll never forget this. She said, it takes just as much effort to fall in love with a rich man as it does a poor man. I was shocked. Then she told my sister, listen, I'm not worried about you. I'm worried about Bear. She said, I'm not worried about you, Bear. I'm worried about your sister. I said, why are you worried about her? She says, because with you, I only have to worry about one penis. And then I want to share something else that I think is important that you're going to hate, but people who operate and have a philosophy like you do create more resentment from a man than those who make as much money as a man.
Really?
Because I'll tell you why. All right, let's just look at a relationship. We'll look at your relationship if you don't mind, shall we?
Yeah.
Take out the jail, take out the fucking Mount Everest or whatever the hell it is and that stuff, and let's just look at the relationship. So you say he makes all the money. So out of all the money that's made in the household, 100% pie, what percentage does he make in
99.
26 years?
99.
99. So right
Point
now,
nine.
every woman in the world and every man says, I want a 50-50 partnership with my wife.
Right.
Okay, so number one, now I'm not saying it's the only quality in a relationship, but number one is money. And without money, you know, it's hard to eat. It's hard to have a roof over your head. It's hard to travel.
Yeah.
It's hard to get to work, whatever. So in the money category,
Hmm.
your relationship isn't 50-50. It's 99-1.
Right.
Okay. Intimacy.
Hmm.
When you're intimate, okay? I know this is comical to you. When you're intimate, are you the only one doing anything in that room when you guys are intimate and he just lays there? Or
It's fifty
and
fifty.
1% of the time he does something to satisfy you, and 99% of the time it's
No,
just all you?
no, it's 50-50.
It's 50-50. Okay, so we got money 99-1, intimacy, which is a huge part of a relationship, 50-50.
Okay.
So you're 50-50 there. Raising the kids, not just helping them with their problems, but financially supporting them, helping them to make their dreams come true, and also being there for them. What do you think it is between you and your husband?
Financially, he supports them 100%.
100% to
Well,
zero.
now they support themselves.
I know,
When
but
they,
100 to zero.
yes,
What about just being a supportive parent? No money, just being a supportive parent. What's the
that was
relationship?
50-50.
Okay. So now we're 99-1 in the financial with that, with the financial with the kids, 100 to zero, intimacy 50-50, raising the kids 50-50.
Right.
Why wouldn't a man resent somebody who operates like you when he's giving all of his money towards everything and he's not getting anything back on that end? He's 50-50 in every way. Why wouldn't a man be
Oh,
resentful?
so he would resent me, not me resenting him.
What would you resent him for?
No, I don't resent him.
Okay, so but a
I
man,
think it's great.
I know. So why? Of course, it's
Now,
great.
why is it bad for him? Why would he resent?
Why?
Why wouldn't he resent? Of
Why
course
would
he
a man?
resents me.
Why would a man
He's
be?
asked me to go to work for years, Barry.
Okay. So what you've done, and it's amazing that you've kept the relationship together because you've created a relationship where
I don't work.
you don't work, you
Right.
don't do anything.
We don't
You're a brilliant
contribute.
you're a brilliant person and you
Right.
don't work.
That's correct.
Yeah, and you love that. But why should he love that? He's
I,
got
it's a
all the
miracle.
pressure.
It's a miracle.
No, it's not a miracle. It's what
What is it?
it's what most people want. I would love somebody. Don't you think
A
I'd
sugar mama?
don't you, now it's this is what's weird. I want to just share this. So if I don't work and a woman works and supports me, she's a sugar mama. Okay? If she doesn't work and the man works and pays all the bills, he's called a husband. What the, what the it just doesn't make any sense. Now, I want to share something with you that you probably don't know about me.
Okay.
I have a problem that I don't like. I've never felt comfortable with a woman paying for dinner or for things like I just feel I don't know. I don't know if it was my mom that my mom,
School.
my dad died when I was 4, and my mom was
Yeah.
the breadwinner for
Right.
all my whole life. She took care of everything. So
Mm.
if she operated like you, then we'd all be living in a car somewhere.
Yeah.
But she didn't. She fought hard to make everything work, just like you would
Yeah,
if
I
your
would.
husband wasn't around,
Yeah,
you
I
would be
would.
working. But the point I'm trying to make is that I it just confuses me like how that is and what I'm supposed to do because I always love paying for a woman. I love doing nice things. I just I believe this about relationships and
50-50. Contribute. Both of you contribute.
I want to tell you something. I'm not opposed to 50-50. I would love 50-50. I've never been in a 50-50 relationship. I've always paid more. I've always been wholly supportive of a woman. It makes me feel good. I don't resent anything. But I do like it sometimes when, somebody, I'm with somebody and it's like maybe I say, just give me a second, I'm just gonna check on something and I come back to pay the bill and it's like, oh, I'm sorry, sir, she already took care of it. What do you mean she took care of it? I've been in the restaurant with her the whole time. Yeah, when she came in, she slipped me the credit card because she knew you'd pay. Now, to me, that even though I'm upset about it, it's kind of like, wow, this person's there's not fucking around. They want to let me
Yeah,
know.
I do that for friends though that are guys.
Yeah, but
Like,
you don't do it
okay,
for him.
well, I mean, it's his money. Well, if I make money, I would do that for him.
So you spend his money on your friends.
Yeah, I'm like, listen, let me pay for it. My husband worked hard for this. First of all, Barry, if I had my own money, I would give in all of that. I would give it. I would give it into the relationship too.
Well, you're gonna have your own money, so that's okay. So you're gonna have lots of money. So what I believe,
So if a woman made all this money and a man didn't work, or let's say he wasn't making any money, she'd have to share half of her money with him anyway.
how would you think, what would you think of a man who did that?
What would I think of a man who did
Yeah,
that? Well, it depends. It
forget
depends.
depends. Just tell me the roles are reversed. You're making all the money, and he is doing nothing, sitting around in the living room doing a podcast. How would you feel?
That would be tough for me.
Okay,
It's the way I was brought up.
see, there you go. So let's keep going. One second, I wanted to share this because I
There's a lot of things.
I love this idea because I think about relationships and this is my philosophy now in a relationship. And please feel free to tell me if you think it's wrong or whatever. I believe that if I'm with a woman, I pretend like I don't know if I'm going to see her again after that day.
Hmm.
And I like to pretend like I'm auditioning for the next day.
Hmm.
And if I don't do a good audition, I'm out.
Right.
And so it trains me, not trains me, but it gets me always in the mindset, today's a new day where you're going to be fucking amazing as you can be for this person that believes in you and wants to be with you. And no guarantee of the next day, but really, really do everything you can. And then if they do the same thing each day, then you're in a great relationship. I was looking at something the other day, and I hope I can find it. I want to share it with you because it really fascinated me. And I hope your audience doesn't mind if I share this because it really blew me away.
I think my audience loves the fact that we're talking about relationships because that's really where it's at. That's what Wife's a Bitch is about.
Yeah,
So it coincides with the people that I know in the comedy world because that's who I've been having as guests. But
yeah, I think your audience is really gonna appreciate this. All right,
I hope
ready?
the sound is on.
This is
That would be
this is
horrible for my.
incredible. You want to check it real quick?
You mean stop it and turn it back on?
No. So I look at this thing. I have this in front of me not all the time, but I
Yeah.
have this with me all the time to check myself
Okay.
to see if I am doing things properly. And I know if all these things are happening in my relationship, I know I'm on the right path.
Hmm.
These are the 15 things.
Wow.
You ready?
Yeah. You know, I have 8 pillars of health, right?
Yes, that's right.
In my book.
So just put the word mutual before all of these.
Okay, I'll try.
Respect, trust, prioritization, emotional interest, thoughtfulness, involvement, inclusion in future plans, caring, being supportive, pride, attention to detail, decision making, compromise, communication, and being receptive to feedback. So I
I
know
possess a lot of those.
I know if I have that and my
Hmm.
partner has that, then we're in great shape.
Did you mention finance?
No, I did not.
You just listed a lot of things that I have
That's
that I contribute.
and is it mutual?
Yes.
Okay, then that's why you're together for 26 years. You know,
It works.
I
It's a
want
good
to tell you a
formula.
story. You can't make this shit up.
Should I zoom that? Is it good?
No, you can bring it in. You can do anything in editing.
What do you want to tell me?
You know that you can just in editing you can bring it all in. You can
Yeah.
do whatever you want.
What do you want to tell me?
So I was at the supermarket in my hometown, my town where I live in California, and I run into this couple, and they're an elderly couple. And I said, God, you guys look amazing. How long you guys have been together? They said 50 years. I said, wow, what's the secret that you have for a happy marriage? The woman leans in and she says, that's easy. We've only had one argument in 50 years. And then somebody tapped the woman on the shoulder and she sort of leaned over to talk to them. And here I am, just face to face with this guy. Me and him, mano a mano. She's kind of checked out for just a second.
Yeah.
And he leans over to me and he says, yeah, same fucking argument every day.
I knew you were gonna say every day in a row.
That crazy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Anyway, I'll shut up.
No, there's nothing to shut up. I think you're so interesting. You're so
I bet
interesting.
you'd say that to all the
No,
transgender athletes. You introduce.
they are. No, but you're very interesting and you have so much insight, and I respect that about you. And I really, it's like I want to pick your brain. Like there's so much.
You got me.
Oh, and also you were, what did I mention that you were the executive producer of Last Comic Standing? I wasn't a comic back then, so I didn't watch it. I should watch it
I
now.
wasn't a comic and I didn't watch it.
No, but I want to watch it now as a comic. I want to watch it now. But I know that the ranks that came up was Ralphie May,
Yeah, it's
and
incredible. All the people. Amy Schumer was on that show.
that's just amazing that you have
Gary
launched.
Gulman.
You've been a platform to launch people that are so big today that people really enjoy, and
That's one of the most fun is that you just meet people and that's what's so great about this blueprint thing too, is you just get to meet these young people and you never know
yeah,
what's
that's
gonna
how I
happen.
feel about my shows when I'm producing it. Like I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's
oh,
the
I
greatest.
discovered that guy from an open mic,
Of course you
and I
did.
feel like, wow, I did that.
And that's why I want you to think of those people as yourself.
Right.
Pretend they're running the open mic
Yeah.
and you went on
Yeah.
and they're on
I'm
a
starting to do
podcast
that.
talking about how,
Yeah.
wow, did you see this girl Victoria that
Yeah.
I launched?
Yeah.
I fucking launched
Yeah.
Victoria.
Yeah. I want someone to tell that story.
Don't you love I mean,
I
this is
thought it
so,
would be you, Barry, but it's
you never
not yet.
know.
Not yet.
What I love is that there's like so many places that people don't work there. Like, it's like, I, I, I want to say this I hope he takes it the right way, but it's like there's so many people that get jealous of so many comedians, and I'm just trying to give you an example of you take somebody like Matt Rife, it's like the guy, was working. Yeah, he's young, but he was working for 10 years and worked as a teenager doing a certain kind of act, but then switched it up,
Mm-hmm.
changed the way he did things.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how his life changed. Now, it
Yeah.
might not have changed. A lot of people switch things up and changed their stuff and it didn't work. But who cares? They're in the same place they were. He changed it up. He went from making 3,000 a weekend to 300,000 a weekend to 3 million a weekend. And Netflix offering him a special. What do you think? Netflix is offering him a special before when he's making 3,000 a weekend?
Mm-hmm.
No, they weren't offering it to him. But you start offering things to people when they change the listening and they
Right.
change how it is, and you
Right.
have to
Right. He's in
you
demand.
you have to offer it to
Right.
them.
Yeah. You can't ignore it.
Yeah, and
Just
and
like
and that's
Steve
the
Martin
thing.
said, you can't to be so good they can't ignore you.
Yeah, and that's the philosophy with every kind of job you do.
More people are jealous of somebody that comes up in the ranks that didn't really want it and work for it, which is like the Hawk 2 girl. The Hawk 2 girl, the Hawk 2 girl, Haley Welch. Some people are like, "Wow, she's opening for Whitney Cummings now. What's going on?" She's on every podcast that we want to be on. That's where we were like,
Why,
but then it doesn't
Victoria,
matter. It's lightning in a bottle, and she
Victoria,
caught it. She's smart.
Victoria,
What?
why is she on Whitney Cummings' podcast?
You tell me.
Why is she on Bill Maher's podcast?
Well, because she had
Why
higher
would she be
she had
opening up for Whitney Cummings? Why would Whitney Cummings or Bill Maher
well,
have
Matt
those
Rife
people on?
actually had her come to visit, but he didn't have her on.
Why would they? I mean,
She had a
why
lot.
didn't he
Yeah,
have her?
well, yeah, because he didn't need it.
Yes.
Because yes, I
Why did those
understand.
people have
Because
her on?
she had more viewers
Because
than they did.
thank you. So
Got it.
you think they're gonna have her on if she has 50 viewers? No. Now I've met with Haley Welsh and I know
Have
Haley
you?
Welsh. Yes, I have. And
She's Jewish.
mhm. And so, but why do you get down on somebody who
I'm
didn't
not down on her. I'm just saying what
not
people
you,
say.
let's say what people say. Why do they get down on somebody who didn't even plan to do anything? It's just the world spoke and said, can we find this girl? Can we see what she has to
The girl
say?
next door. Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I guess you could say that about anybody. Marilyn Monroe didn't really work for it. She became who she was almost
but
overnight.
then when she got the opportunity, she seized it.
Right. And that's what Haley did.
And that's what Haley did
Right.
now. Sometimes you get people around you that don't advise you properly, and
Right.
then you get into a crypto pump and dump scam,
Yeah.
and now,
Now
it's
she's in trouble.
in trouble. So it's like you get greedy. People
Yeah.
get greedy,
Yes.
handlers get greedy, managers get greedy. And
And
I was
even
always the
even
kind of
even
manager,
she could have gotten greedy.
yeah, I was always the kind of manager that I know this is odd, Victoria. I don't expect anybody to believe me, but like I never cared about the money. I always felt that, look, if I do the great work, I'm gonna make the money. If I work with great people, I'm gonna make the money. I can't help but not make the money if I just do things a little differently and work a little bit harder and smarter than a few people. I've done some things that aren't so great, but when I was in New York, I mean, I had an office in New York and, at 57th and Broadway, right down the street here. I had a condo that I like overextended myself. I don't even know. I had 10 employees. I don't even know how I did it, but I just said, I'm doing it and I'm going to make the money and I'm going to figure it out. And I
Did you do
did.
it to prove anybody wrong, or did you do it because it was
Mm.
like what you wanted? Like, everybody has a motivation for like a
And I,
real reason why they do
and I
things.
believe in that, but I don't know what it
What
was.
drove you?
My mother worked in a dress shop. My father had passed away. I had
Maybe
no
you had to be the
mentors
man
and
in the
no,
house, like you had to be the man, right?
maybe, but
This is therapy.
And I love comedy. But I had no idea what was going to happen and how it was going to happen. And I had no idea that I was going to have an eye for talent
Yeah.
and see so many people that were
If somebody told you at 10 years old this is what you were going to do, you
like
would have.
going to 30 Rock today. It was just, it was incredible to think about. I represented, I can't even tell you how many people on Saturday Night Live. I've been in those hallways so often. And I remember standing next to Kurt Cobain and before he went on, or seeing Will Ferrell just have no fear, seeing other cast members who shall remain nameless have tremendous fear, paralyzing fear, seeing Tracy Morgan never really getting on and doing this funny sketch finally his first time on where he was talking about how you might recognize me. I'm the goodnight guy, and they just show him waving goodnight at the end, even though he was never in any sketch. Um, I've seen so many things that I can't even begin, to walk on the floor of Boston Garden with Dane Cook and have him sell out two shows in
He's
one
incredible,
night
man.
there.
He's an incredible, first of all, pioneer.
Yeah,
He has my respect.
to start social media with him
Yeah.
that comedians utilize now. Everyone does. No one did when he started doing
Right.
that. I love the groundbreaking things. Last Comic Standing. No one ever did anything like that.
It's like a contest.
Yeah, I mean, I love so many different things about this crazy business that I've had a chance to work on. It's just,
What a journey.
it is, but it's also just seeing how people, what they do to move forward. And, people get frustrated. I know you've gotten frustrated, but, it's all there to study and look at all these people. You mentioned Ralphie May. This guy was a fucking destroyer. This guy got standing ovations in the middle of his sets. Um, I remember something I used to do when I was new in New York. I had this VCR, or as some comic long ago said, a $400 clock in my living room. And I used to go to the Boston Comedy Club, which I owned in the Village, which a lot of great memories. And I used to put the VCR, the VHS tape, for those of you too young to remember,
Yeah.
had three speeds: 2 hour, which was the best quality; 4 hour, the second best quality; and 6 hour, basically the worst quality. And I put it in before I left for the club so I could get Saturday Night Live and Showtime at the Apollo, which was after Saturday Night Live. And I remember one night I came home and I used to watch it when I came home. And on Showtime at the Apollo, for those of you who don't know, the Apollo Theater in New York, legendary, a lot of African American artists. And I'm watching, and Paul Rodriguez, I used to represent, and was hosting the show that night, and he introduced Jennifer Holliday. And Holiday came out and sang that song. And I am telling you, I'm not going. And you're gonna love me. You know that song.
Amazing. Yeah.
And
From Dreamgirls.
yeah, I'm watching this song, and I'm watching the crowd giving her standing ovation after standing ovation in the middle, and the way it ends, and Paul Rodriguez is bowing to the ground she walks on. And I thought to myself, if any comedian can just give a quarter of that performance and get a crowd to do that, they're going to, have the
Make
greatest
history.
career of their
Yeah.
lives.
Yeah.
So what every comedian has to do, they know what they have to do. Everybody knows what they have to do. The question is, how do they write the script for their act and perform it in a way that blows people the fuck away and creates the holy shit moment that
Yeah,
the world says
that's the $1 million question.
I've gotta.
It's a
I
$1 billion
mean,
question
yeah,
because of inflation. But
but
yeah,
it's not a $1 billion question because we're seeing comics do it every year. You know, Taylor Tomlinson is working comedy clubs. Maybe they're half filled. She does the late night set with the red outfit on. It's all over. Nikki Glazer works for 17 years. Does well, making money, but does the Netflix roast. Now she's hosting the fucking Golden Globes.
amazing.
It's like you train for the moments. The smaller moments is maybe when Esty is watching you when you're doing your audition.
At the
Maybe that,
cellar.
and I say smaller moments not because the Comedy Cellar is small, it's huge,
Mount
but I'm just
Everest.
saying like, and then you master that moment, and then the next moment is I'm doing an audition for a sitcom, and you book the sitcom, Aziz Ansari style, for Parks and Recreation. The guy's working late night sets at the Cellar, books a sitcom, 7 years or 8 years or whatever the hell it is. Then you go and you to pitch your show idea to places, Master of None, and somebody buys it and it moves forward. That's another great moment. Or you're Jim Carrey and you take Ace Ventura and everybody tells you not to take it because they're worried that it's just going to tank. And then you show the world that, you know, there's a new sheriff in town. At every level of your life, there's something. Nikki's got to host the Golden Globes. That's a risky gig. Those award shows are risky gigs. I have so much respect for her. That's a lot of balls to put it all on the line when you don't have to. There's
Yeah,
no,
wasn't there a comic that didn't do well last year?
there's many who don't do well on those.
Yeah,
Letterman had
yeah.
problems.
Yeah, there was
Chris Rock.
one recently. I can't
It's
remember it.
yeah, no,
But
it's
yeah,
Joe Coy.
right.
It's like
And he sells out stadiums.
yeah, there's no to me, there's no I mean, I'm just putting my manager hat on.
But to say
There's
say
no
you did it is insane.
there's no reason with the risk of the Golden Globes
Right.
of why you're doing that. That's not your audience, in my humble opinion. I don't think the Golden Globes are the audience of Nikki Glazer. Um, and I think she's already proven herself so far beyond what the Golden Globes
I
is.
knew she would be great at roasting on top. I said that's her forte.
Yeah,
Roasting is her forte. I loved it.
yeah. I mean, she's just an incredible person, an incredible artist. But I'm just saying, like, risk is amazing. Taking risks is fucking fantastic.
She might have gained the viewers though from the Tom Brady roast, and it might carry to the Golden Globes.
No, I'm not saying that. I want you to know, I'm not saying that she's not going to do well or whatever. All I'm saying is like,
It's a risk.
I don't know what I don't even know who watches the Golden Globes, and the ratings have been going down on these
Yeah.
award
Well,
shows
maybe they'll go up because she's on
forever
it.
and ever and ever. Now,
Yeah.
if they said, here you go, and here's a big payday,
Right.
and don't worry, you'll be protected. If something doesn't go right here, you can go to this or do whatever. But I just love her and I want to see her do well. And I know you never want to see anybody
Dip.
unnecessarily have to go into situations that aren't
Oh,
necessarily
right.
in their
Wheelhouse.
yeah, maybe it's a wheelhouse or maybe it's like if there's hosts, like people like Jimmy Kimmel, he hosts Jimmy Fallon hosts 2,500 shows. If you're gonna ask Jimmy Fallon to roast, I go on this roast and do it. Why?
Right.
Why do I have to do a
I
roast? I've
understand.
already proven
Yeah.
myself doing this.
Yeah.
And but I mean, again, I have enormous respect for anybody who takes the
I
risk.
mean, Bill Burr could have roasted, but he said he didn't want to at the Tom Brady roast, and I get that. You know, there's certain things that you just like. You know what? I'm done. Like Michael won. My husband won ultra marathons, and now he just doesn't even love running anymore. He's like, I did it. I proved it. I did it. I proved it to the world, to myself. I'm done. He's on to the next. And now he concentrates on other things, and now it's just recreational for him to run. So you
But
get to that
but yeah,
point where you conquer it, and
and
then you're
yeah,
done proving it.
and going back to Nikki, like I think that sometimes when we talk about things, when other people talk about things, like I'm talking about here, the one thing that I'm not expressing is the fact that, and here I am gonna shit on myself. Who the fuck am I to say what I think, is a risk or isn't a risk? And I don't know
I
if,
know exactly who you are.
yeah,
I know exactly who you
but
are.
I mean, I don't know if growing up she always wanted to host the
Right,
big award show
right,
and then the
right,
Academy Awards, and that's
right,
always been a dream.
right.
And who the fuck am I? I don't know what,
Well,
and that's the thing, and that's why what makes it great about this crazy entertainment business, it's kind of you look at it, you see it, you try to wonder like why was it that they did that, or why did they pivot to that move, or why did they want to do that movie, or why,
I think
and
you're a true observer. I think that you just really observe things and you really want to know how things work. It's almost like the way you describe my status right now is you all the puzzle pieces are there, they're just not all together. So I think you are an observer of life, and I think that you take it to another level where you just love to see how things work. And if you were to watch somebody building a building, I mean, a collaboration, I think you'd stand there fascinated and see how things get put together. I think that that's what you do.
I love it.
Yeah,
I
see?
love watching you from afar, putting it together the way it's going, and changing how you're looking at things. I don't,
You like the evolving metamorphosis. You like that.
I just love it. I just reminding me when I was at the Comedy Store recently, and I was just in the green room backstage, and then, Nikki Glazer just walked out from the back bathroom, and it was like I was just, and it was like I know my place,
Hmm.
but you don't know how people feel about how you've been throughout their journey, or how what they feel about you. And it was the most incredible moment. She just hugged me tight, and she said, and I'm paraphrasing, but she said, "Listen, I always appreciate how supportive you've always been about me, and all the things you've said about me that are so positive."
See, it doesn't get unnoticed, Barry.
And it's just like, even when I'm talking tonight, I talk about her with love,
Of
just
course.
wondering, like, in my mind, like,
Would you
eh,
have made that career move, like that
what
career move?
is, because I want to see her win so badly all
Right,
the time.
right.
And but who am I to think that, because she's winning like nobody else, and it's great to see.
Yeah, well, I think that if anybody has insight, it's you. And you've been in this business a very long time. And you're like the father that wants to see the child, thrive. And you have to step back, but you
As
want to
long as I'm not
see,
the grandfather.
you just want to see them thrive. And you're encouraging them from afar, but you also want to see how it turns out. And I think that that's great about you. And that's what I love about you, Barry.
I love you. You got
Thank
any final parting words for me?
Well, where could people find you? That's first.
They
I'm.
can find me in your penthouse apartment. That's where they can find me.
Oh God.
I am moving in.
Okay,
It's
anytime.
beautiful here.
Always welcome. But where could people find you? Barry Katz,
Uh, Jew
Katz.
Jew at Instagram. No, I'm kidding. At Barry Katz at Instagram or X or
Yeah,
Twitter, or at my website, barrykatz.com.
and
Or you
definitely
can go,
sign up for the blueprint.
yeah, there's a blueprint for success, blueprint hyphen for-success.com. Check that out. It's a free community. Like I said, there's like 1,000 people in there, and
But
come to them.
I totally suggest that you, and I highly encourage, if you're very serious about your craft, to do a one-on-one if you even have time. This man has done 4 podcasts today, went to the Tonight Show, went for dinner, did the blueprint, did a million things, and he's here now, and it's like 11 o'clock at night in New York. So,
Because
and he just drove. It came in yesterday.
I
So,
want to
and you're
see
leaving tomorrow.
I want to see you win. I want to see you do
You're
well.
amazing. You're an amazing
And
man.
yeah, so they can go there. I got a YouTube channel
Oh
that
yeah.
you can see the podcast industry standard on, and there's a lot of great stuff. I've interviewed everybody from Judd Apatow to Kevin Hart to Bill Burr to Tiffany Haddish to
You know, when I know when I arrived, when I'm on that podcast. And with that, we're gonna say goodbye. I love you so much. Until the next
Swing.
time.
It's a long fly ball deep over Juan Soto's head.
I know he believes in me, but
I
you
do
know
believe
what?
in you.
If I never make it, as long as I
Wait,
know that I have
stop,
1
right?
minute. The reason
No,
why I'm
you
saying
change
that,
that sentence right
no,
now.
no, I'm the reason why I'm
No,
saying, all right, when
say
I
it again.
make it,
Thank you.
I'm gonna thank you. And no, just want to say that I'm very happy with where I'm at right now, and it's a process. And if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, it
Change
does.
that sentence again, please.
When it happens, it happens.
Thank
It's gonna
you.
happen.
Let's end it there. I love you,
All right,
Victoria.
thank you. I love you,
Thank you,
Barry.
everybody.
Follow me again also
Bye.
on Victoria Makes You Laugh and Wife's a Bitch podcast. Thank you for tuning in.